Hello and welcome to RoXolid Productions, where in this video we're going to talk about our second set of Germany pickups here in... And I'm actually waiting here in the Hamburg airport for my first flight back to the U.S. By the time you see this video, I'll actually be back in the States, but I did want to talk a little bit about some of the pickups I did have at a second shop that I went to here in Germany. The thing that's funny is this shop was right across the street from my hotel. It's called Music and Games. Kind of a little hole in the wall, not much to talk about, which is why I didn't do any video of the store itself. Quite honestly, it was a little bit of a mess, a little cluttered, but the people in it were super nice. Their selection of games were not as deep as what AB Games had, but they still had some cool stuff. I know Ryan from Castlemania Games had asked me to keep an eye out for any Mega Drive or Master System games. They didn't have any of those, no real Sega stuff, but they did have NES, Super NES, I did see Game Boy, Xbox 360, Xbox One, PS3, PS4. They had a PS1 there. They had two GameCubes, one of which someone took and painted with like latex paint and put like a screw in the eject button. It hurt my heart to see that. It was really quite bad, but I did pick up a total of 6 games there. 3 for the Super NES and 3 for the NES, and the NES games were actually complete in box. If you've kept up with me on Twitter and Facebook, you've already seen what I've picked up, but if you haven't, here's what I wanted to pick up. And we're going to start first of all with the Super NES games, because there were no complete in box games here. It's just the games themselves. I'm going to start off first of all with Super R-Type. Sorry, I did pick up a bit of a cold on this trip. So one of the reasons why I picked this up, this is actually something I'll be sending to Ryan at CastlemaniaGames.com, because if you haven't heard, CastlemaniaGames.com and Retrobit actually have a special edition of Super R-Type and R-Type 3 coming out called R-Type Returns, and I figured it'd be kind of neat to send Ryan, as a thank you for all of his support, the PAL version of Super R-Type, so that's why I grabbed that one there. Another one I picked up, and this is also going to Ryan, is Stunt Race FX. I do have the Japanese Super Famicom edition, so I didn't need a copy of this myself, but again, Ryan was looking for some PAL games, so this will be heading his way. And finally, one that I picked up because of just the unique nature of the game was Axelay, and I've heard some great things about it, that it's a great shooter and a great shmup, so I'm looking forward to spending some time with this. All 3 of these games were pretty inexpensive. I think at most, the most expensive one was about €12, so I really did well on these. I was really happy with that. I take it back, I think Axelay was about €22, but besides that, Stunt Race FX was like €8, and Super R-Type was, I think, €12. So about €40, I guess, in total on those. Now the really cool thing was the next 3 I picked up were, at the time I didn't realize it. Well, I realized they were in the box, which is cool, and the boxes were all in great shape, but I did not realize they were complete in the box. And I don't just mean that they had the sleeves in it, they also had the manuals, and on one of these games it also had a promotional poster in it too. I'm going to start first of all with Marble Madness, and this is actually a game I had never played before. This is complete in the box with the manual, with the sleeve. The box is in really good shape, although it does have a little something sticky towards the top of the front of the box. Kind of just a brown something or other. I'm going to see if I can't clean this with just like maybe a damp rag with some Windex or something along those lines, just to get that crud off of it. That's one of the problems with papers. It's just damn hard to clean. The next one, I picked this one up specifically thanks to the video game, or the gaming historian Norman out there. Recently did an excellent expose on the history of Tetris. And as such, when I saw this complete in-box version of the Nintendo version of Tetris, I had to grab it. Again, complete in the box. The box is in amazing shape, and so is the label. The labels on all of these and the plastics on the cartridges on these are all great. Very little discoloration on the Super NES versions. The NES versions look like they just came off of the assembly line. I mean, they're really, really good looking. Like I say, Tetris is complete in box. It's got the manual. It has the correct Nintendo game sleeve, so I was really excited to see that. And finally was one that I'm not really familiar with because I'm not a big RPG fan, as you guys know. I've said it before, I'm just not an RPG fan. But Swords and Serpents in Germany, yeah, in the DE. In Germany here, it was distributed by Acclaim. I think it was Interplay in the States that actually distributed this. This is up to a 4-player RPG, and this came with the cartridge itself, the game sleeve, like all 3 of these NES games did. Came with the manual, but it also came with a promotional poster, which I wasn't expecting. Everything is like, there's no wrinkles in the manual, no wrinkles in the poster. It didn't even look like the poster had ever been opened up and expanded. And I paid about €90 total for everything. So you figure I paid about €40 for the 3 Super NES games, about €50 for the 3 NES games. I mean, I think at least I did pretty well here. The guys in the store were really, really nice. Didn't speak a whole lot of English. I think they spoke about as much English as I did German. But actually, they did cut me a deal too because I was purchasing so many items. One of the interesting things too is the fact that they didn't take credit cards, so I had to go and find an ATM here right up the road, which this is just a really cool area where I was at. Like I mentioned, this was right across the street from my hotel. I had to go to, funny enough, they had an Aldi right up the street that had an ATM. So those were really nice. Now, I'm not keeping all of these. Some of these, like I said, I am sending to Ryan at CastlemaniaGames.com. Make sure if you haven't done so, he does a lot of things to help support us here on the channel. If you need any accessories, parts, pieces, controllers, one-up cards, say you need a Super Retrocade or replacement controllers or an Eon Gaming HDMI adapter for the Nintendo GameCube. He can hook you up with all of this, and for purchases $20 and up, you get free shipping and handling. And on most items on the site, if you use promo code ROX10, he'll also save you 10%. So that's one of the reasons too why he's getting a nice little gift pack here. Finally, I did pick up a few. As we all know, my good friend John Riggs, check his channel out at Rig Gaming. He's a serial killer out there, and by that he loves himself some cereal. So I did pick him up a couple boxes that will be heading his way to the Great Northwest. And finally, I did pick up one of the cool things is right up the road from where I work. There's a store called Höfner. And I'm not making fun of the pronunciation, that's just how it is. The best way I can describe Höfner is the fact it's like an IKEA, but it's bigger. It has furniture, it has hardware, it has knives and kitchen utensils, it has toys. It also has a restaurant in there that's really good. We stopped there a couple times for lunch. But they also had, as a child of the 80s, they had Monchichis in there. So there are 3 of those coming back with me to the U.S., going to a couple different people, including, it's funny, my 50-something-year-old cousin wanted one too. So there'll be one of those heading to Milwaukee, 2 others going to other places that I'm not going to disclose at this time. Just a great trip if you ever have a chance to make it over to Europe and go to Germany. I highly recommend it. I had a blast going through Lubeck. It really reminded me in a lot of ways of National Lampoon's European Vacation. Just how the cobblestone streets, how narrow the streets were and everything, the street merchants, the building, the architecture. It was really cool. I highly recommend it. If you have any questions about my trip, things that I saw, what I went to, anything along those lines, as always, feel free to leave a comment down below. Also, feel free to email me at rocksolidmail@gmail.com. You can also go ahead and send me a tweet on Twitter at RoXolid Studios or on Facebook at facebook.com/RoxSolidProductions. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel too. Anytime, that way we have new content that comes out. Sorry, we've got the, like I mentioned, I'm actually here at the airport waiting for my first flight. You know, make sure you subscribe to the channel. That way, anytime we do have new content coming out, you're kept in the know. Hit that little bell too. That way, you get an email each and every time I do upload something here to the channel. If you want to help support RoXolid Productions in our future, don't forget you can also join us on our Patreon page at patreon.com/RoXolid. For as little as $1 a month, you can help really form the future of the channel and help us do things like do video game pickups that we're going to share here on the channel. One thing of note on all of these games, these are the PAL versions, so I'm really interested to see like what the Super Retro Trio Plus, the Super Retro, or not the Super Retrocade, but the 16-bit HD, the Super Retron HD, the 8-bit HD, what these all play these games like on an American TV. So, and we'll probably do a little bit of live streaming with that too. Just an amazing trip. Again, I want to thank the folks at Music and Games for hooking me up with a good deal on there, get me some really good games, and like I say, the fact that they had some NES games with crispy boxes, crispy labels, it was pretty amazing. So thank you to all of you who do subscribe, watch, and support. Don't forget to just, like I say, give us a like and a comment down below. It absolutely helps the channel out. Takes you just a moment. I am Gary. This is RoXolid Productions. These have been my pickups to the second video game store here in Germany. Thanks for watching. I'm heading back to America, and I'll see you soon.